Hi y'all, and welcome back to the garden. Today I want to show you the shrubs that came in that I was just telling you about in the last video. These new hydrangeas from Proven Winners. FedEx was pretty rough on the package, honestly, but they look so good when I brought them out of the box. I was really impressed. And we're also going to do round 2 of trying to pull out shrubs up front of the house. But let's take a look at these hydrangeas first. So here they are. There's 4 of them. 3 of them look really good. The Pinky Winky Prime is kind of puny, but that's okay. That's okay. I'll put it, it'll be beautiful next year. This is Tuff Stuff Top Fun, and I want a poll below. I have told Natalie from Proven Winners, who we work with, to please get these in their store so I can buy every one of them for every plant I have. She started kind of trialing these and sending them out to us content creators when she sends the shrubs, and I love them. You know, in my last garden, I kind of self-made some of these, and the more of these things I get in the garden and the quirkier Proven Winners gets with their names, the more difficult they are to remember, and I just love them. They're really beautiful. And they complement the plant really well. And I like that they're in white writing because it's easy to see around darker foliage. But this is Top Fun, so it is the mountain hydrangea. It's not quite bloomed out, but I'll show you these blooms in maybe another week or 2. We'll see, they're about to pop. But I love how dark the foliage is on this one. This is Let's Dance Lovable that I showed you, I think, in the trial gardens. It's looking a little rough. The blooms are from being crushed by FedEx, but also otherwise it's a super healthy shrub. So looking really nice, and these blooms are perfect. We have this one, which is Let's Dance Sky View, which looks much better than the other one I had. Really full. So we'll find a nice place for this one. I just love these things. If you like these tags, say you like these tags below, and that way I can let Natalie know there's interest in them, so everyone can have them. And then Pinky Winky Prime, like I mentioned earlier, no blooms on it. The bad thing about getting these trial shrubs is oftentimes because they have to ship them, they cut them back severely. Luckily, none of the macrophyllus or the mountain hydrangeas they had to do that to this time, but often the paniculatas they do. And since I picked up a lot of the ones that are right here when I went to Michigan and drove them back in my SUV, I think I got almost 50 shrubs. None of those had to be cut back. And they're actually, some of those plants are as big as 3 gallons that I could purchase locally. They don't have the root system, obviously, of a 3-gallon plant, but the actual upper part of the shrub is as big as a 3-gallon, which is perfect. Let's go look at what we're going to try and remove today. And then I'll tell you about a removal of some shrubs I did this past week, which was really difficult even with the tractor. So for those of you that don't know what pokeweed or poke salad is, it's this thing right here, and it's growing in the middle of this viburnum. We're gonna try and remove both of these today. This is an older variety of viburnum. Pretty common. I think I told you I had these at the last house, and they were some of the early things that I removed when they were actually on the side of the house where my incredible hydrangea hedge is. So I was able to put something much more beautiful there. And these, they're just too big for the space. They're encroaching on the sidewalk. They've not been properly shaped over time, and so they've been allowed to get too big. So we're gonna try and pull these out directly with a chain. Now, my shrub pulling adventures that I didn't record earlier this week were some burning bushes on the side of the house. I have not tackled the ones on the driveway. I was actually just discussing those, and I'm afraid that they're going to be really difficult to pull out just based on the smaller ones that I pulled out on the side of the house. I will never, ever plant or recommend someone plant a burning bush just based on my own experiences of having to remove them. There were one on either side of the garage when we moved in our last home, and it took hours to hand dig those out of the ground. I don't know what it is about the root systems. They're really, vigorous isn't the right term, and they don't have really thick roots, but they have a lot of roots. And they just like grab and latch onto the soil and become incredibly difficult to get out. So I tried to pull them out with a tractor earlier this week, and I was like pulling that tractor as hard as I could, and it was literally the tractor was lifting off the ground a little bit, but I finally got them out. And once they got out, I was like, thank goodness, and I tossed them back in the burn pile to burn. The ones up front are much bigger. I went and looked at them the other day, and the branches are like this big around. So I might actually have to cut those down. I pulled up a picture of the house from a long time ago in fall, and they're actually really beautiful in the fall when the color changes. So I might just substantially trim them back over the coming weeks and see if I can manage keeping them there for a while. I don't know. I still want to remove them though, because it's not a great spot to have something that close to your driveway that you have to manage like that over time. And I'm all about putting stuff in, both plants and infrastructure wise, that require less maintenance. What I'm also going to do this week is trim my boxwoods. So surprisingly, as hot as it's been, these boxwoods are putting on new growth. And now the trimming, I will probably show you that in a video, and it's not going to be pretty. It's going to be cut down quite a bit. They're much too large. It's almost like they could be a hedge if you want them to be, but we're going to make them smaller spheres, and they will be really bare. They will grow back hopefully, and if they don't, I'll remove them and replace them with something else. As I mentioned, boxwoods are kind of declining in our area. I just keep driving around new places all the time, and something that I do, just because I'm a gardener, as you might, is look at landscapes on the side of the road or anywhere else. And you'll find it a lot, I'm noticing, in commercial landscapes where the tools might not be cleaned adequately by the landscapers between jobs, and they're just completely dying out. I saw one a few weeks ago, or about a month ago, where everyone in their yard was dead, and they had marked them off with like almost caution tape for the landscapers to remove, because they had lost every one of them over the past spring. So I just hate it, because I love boxwoods. They're so easy to train, and I'm going to be looking for alternatives. Proven Winners has a shrub, it's called Sweet and Low, I think, that I saw when I was up there in Michigan last month, and I'm going to consider looking at that. Some people have mentioned the 𝗖𝗢𝗗𝗧. The 𝗖𝗢𝗗𝗧 don't do well here because of our higher pH soil. So I'm going to be looking at alternatives that might resemble a boxwood, including, I love my arborvitae, still got to evaluate deer concerns. Our neighbor did say we do have deer around here. They don't tend to bother a whole lot of stuff though, is what it seems. But I'm going to be evaluating that over winter before I start putting a bunch of stuff in the ground that is just going to become a deer snack. So I'm going to go grab the tractor and the chain, and we're going to see if we can get these out of the ground. Now, I completely understand that this is difficult for some of you to watch. I know when I started gardening, had a really hard time getting rid of anything. And then I was just like, these things, well, one, the viburnum at my last house had been pruned really horribly. They were so sparse and had so few leaves on them that they had needed to come out a long time prior. And these type of viburnum can get really massive. So when they were selected for this location, it's probably by a landscaper who put them there because they would grow and fill in space quickly, not that they would eventually outgrow the space and have to be removed. That's the way a lot of landscapes end up being, unfortunately. So I'm going to get this chain wrapped around the bottom of the trunk as best I can, and we'll see if we can pull from there and how easy these come up. I don't know. We'll see. I don't know. There we go. That part wasn't pretty, me crawling around on my hands and knees, so I didn't show that. But I'll show you how close I have it to the trunk here. You'll probably get it a little closer. I did mention in a previous video that I tend to be allergic to these type of viburnum. And yes, I should probably have on long sleeves, and I need to find my Farmer's Defense sleeves that I love so much. They're still packed in a box somewhere. But it's like a perfect 72 degrees outside right now, and I'm going to enjoy this fall weather in short sleeves and shorts. So let's crank up the tractor and see if we can get this out of here. Not sure how this is going to go. Well, this is another massive fail. I don't want to tear up the grass too much and the tractor spinning. As you can see here, I left a little rut, but this is all going to be flower bed by the fall anyway, so it doesn't matter so much. And I may just have to cut these down and cut them out with a Sawzall. I don't know. I'm going to keep trying and see if I can try it on this other one. Try at some different angles. Just don't know. It's not working out so good on these big shrubs. They have been here for clearly a very long time and do not want to be removed. All right, apparently one does not simply pull out a shrub this old with a tractor and a chain. So I had a viewer in the last video when I dug up the 𝗖𝗢𝗗𝗗𝗦 recommend these blades by Diablo. They're pruning blades and they said they've used them before. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and cut some of the roots and then see if this will come out easier, because I think if I can get some of the roots on the back side, that'll give it leverage to move forward. And I might cut around the back and sides. I don't know. I'm going to try it and try and pull it again, and we'll see how that works. All right, we're going to have to do this the hard way. Finally, some success. Okay, so let me tell you what I ended up having to do. I'm a sneezy mess. I told you I'm allergic to these things. And just for those of you in my last video, when I mentioned I got stung by a swarm of yellow jackets, was recommending like Zyrtec. I take Zyzol, which is an improved version of Zyrtec. I think another generation of histamine that doesn't cross the blood-brain barrier as much as Zyrtec, and so it doesn't have tendencies to make you drowsy or as many side effects. I take Zyzol year-round just to live in this world around us. I'm really sneezy, and I had to stop for a moment because I was sneezing so bad. I don't know what it is about them. They don't bother me just being there, but like working on them, around them, cutting them up, I get really sneezy. My skin's a little irritated. I'm still on my steroids for the wasp or the yellow jacket stings, so I'm not getting as inflamed as I probably usually would, but I'm feeling much better. The itchiness of the wasp or the yellow jacket stings have gone down substantially, and the swelling has. I'm just a little itchy, but I've not had to have any Benadryl in the past 24 hours, which is great. So this is what it looks like. I broke out the Sawzall and cut around the outside of it. Then I had to get out the shovel and dig out so I could get some of the lower roots. These Viburnum, I forgot, have some pretty, like, they spread out kind of deeply. So you've got to get the roots that are down in there. And what I did from there, you may have seen how I wrapped the chain around it. I went kind of under these top roots that I had cut off and then wrapped the chain around it to give it some leverage to pull that way. So I'm gonna have to do the other one the same way. Sorry, I'm going to have to get away from these shrubs. Not to be dramatic, but they're killing me, man. I'm going to go get some water. I'm going to try and get this other one out. I have one more on the side of the house. I don't think I'm going to get to tonight. I'm not sure what time it is, but I don't know if I can take this much longer, but I'm going to try and cut all this down and I'll remove these branches or have someone help me remove them to the burn pile later because they're giving me such problems. I'm going to try and get this other one wrapped up for the evening. Thank you guys for joining me on this journey. Sometimes gardening is not as easy as you want it to be, and sometimes you just got to do the hard work. Thank you guys for joining me, and remember, in a world full of hate, be a light. Take care.